Hello everyone, welcome back to Parasitology. This is the first topic for our semi-final period, which is also a continuation of our discussion on protozoans. Previously, we talked about the amoebas or the amoeba, which are protozoans that are known for their pseudopods or foot-like projections that allow them to move from one point to another. But this time, we're going to talk about ciliates, which are known for their hair-like hair-like projections, and the flagellates, who are known for their whip-like flagella. So merong foot-like, merong hair-like, merong whip-like. We'll start with the ciliates. Actually, ciliate lang kasi isa lang yung member or isa lang yung clinically significant member ng mga ciliates or ng phylum Ciliophora. And that would be Balantidium coli. But after Balantidium coli, we will go now to the flagellates and medyo madami-dami yun. Kaya kailangan prepared po tayo mentally. Ayan. And physically, pag pinanood natin yung video na to. By the way, the reference of our discussion or video is chapter 3 of our textbook, Markel and Vokes. Okay, let's begin. Balantidium coli is also known as Neobalantidium coli or Balantioides coli, and it's a ciliate, and it's the largest protozoan to infect humans. Just take note that we are talking about the largest protozoan or unicellular parasite. So, syempre, this is still significantly smaller than our nematodes. Kaya wag po tayo malito, kahit makita natin yung word na largest. The infective stage, as with 99% of our protozoans, would be the cyst, and the diagnostic stage could either be the cyst or trophozoite. I-connect po natin to sa lesson 2. Kapag formed yung stool, most likely nandun yung mga cysts, pero kapag watery yung stool sample, most likely nandun yung mga trophozoites. The habitat of this parasite is the large intestine, particularly the cecum section and the terminal ileum. This is transmitted through ingestion of contaminated food and water, as with most of our protozoans nga po. Previously, yung Entamoeba histolytica, coli, diba? Iodobium buchliae, most of them are ingested or transmitted via ingestion. Ang mga naiiba lang naman so far in the world of protozoans would be our free-living amoeba, the Naegleria, which enters our nose instead when we swim in fresh water, and then also the Acanthamoeba. But other than that, ito po talaga yung primary mode of transmission, ingestion of contaminated food and water. The host would be the swine, and the accidental host is man. Please don't be confused because in some references, medyo napapa-interchange sila. The man is the host, tapos the swine is the reservoir host. Either way, both of their contribution naman to the life cycle of Balantidium coli are the same. So we can just say na both of them are possible hosts of this parasite. Mapa swine man or mapa man. Let's go to the general morphology. For the trophozoite, again, as a ciliate, it's known for its hair-like projections. Lahat po na nakikita natin ditong line, yun po yung cilia. Okay, cilia ni Balantidium coli. And this is their locomotory organ. This allows them to move from one place to another. And just imagine all of these cilia moving. This gives them a thrown ball or a parang rolling, thrown ball or parang gumugulong na motility. So, play po natin ang video na ito. So, this is the thrown ball or parang rolling na motility. That's because of the parang the movement of their hair-like projections. Parang winawalis nila yung background or yung sample. So, yan po yung thrown ball motility. Aside from the cilia, it also has they have two sizes, and smaller and larger organisms. Generally, their size is 200 micrometers, pero there are smaller and larger organisms. And for them to share data or for them to communicate and to conjugate to reproduce, it's usually between one smaller and one larger organism. They are also known for the presence of a mouth and an anus, but the words that we use are cytostome for the mouth. So, bakit siya mouth? Kumakain po ba sila? Yun. So, mouth siya kasi that's where the nutrients enter the cell or enter the trophozoite. Kaya mouth. Basically, yun po yung inlet ng Balantidium coli. And then yung cytopage naman, yung anus, kasi just like the anus, that is the outlet of their waste products. Para ano siya, mas maintindihan in human terms, yung the cytostome acts like a mouth, the cytopage acts as an anus. In the trophozoite form, they have two nuclei, one big nucleus and one small nucleus, the macro and micronucleus. So just like in this picture, the dark blue one or the blue figure is the macronucleus. It is responsible for their daily metabolic activity, and the micronucleus, which is used naman for cell division and contains their genetic material. In the cyst form, meron lang po silang parang covering. Yung cyst, yun na yung covering, which hides in one way or another. Pero hindi ganon ka-visible yung ating mga cilia kasi naka-enclose siya sa cyst. But the cyst wall is described to be refractile. Just like your entamoeba species, no? Pag ginagalaw po natin yung fine adjustment knob, parang kumikinang-kinang sila. For the life cycle, very similar lang naman po. Ingestion of contaminated food and water, pumunta sa large intestine, and then titira sila doon, magre-replicate sila doon, magkakause sila ng ulcer, and then after nun, pwede mo ding ma-shed yung mga parasites sa stool sample. Like we said nga po, for protozoans, especially the intestinal protozoans, very simple lang yung kanilang life cycle. So, nilunok, nag-multiply, tapos nilabas sa stool sample. Ang gusto ko lang pong mapansin natin dito is that they are known to exist in the small intestine. So, meron pong box dito, no? Because they are known to exist in the small intestine, meaning that is where they transform from cyst to trophozoite. And then, they finally reside, or ito na yung pinaka-final habitat nila, which is the large intestine. The disease caused by this parasite is Balantidiasis. And just like Entamoeba histolytica, meron din silang mga virulence factor. So, ano ba yung mga virulence factor ng E. histolytica na nabanggit natin before? We have the lectin, the cysteine proteinase, and amoebophore, diba po? But this time, their virulence factor is hyaluronidase, which facilitates tissue invasion. And dahil nag-i-invade din siya ng tissue, they are known to produce ulcers as well. Dati, for Entamoeba histolytica, they produce flask-shaped ulcers, which means they have a wide base and a narrow neck. But this time, the ulcers of Balantidium coli appear rounded base and wide neck. So, kung yung isa flask, ito parang bowl na siya, no? Although, hindi natin ginagamit yung bowl as a nickname. Pero, again, based sa description, hindi na po narrow. Kaya, kung titignan natin yung ulcer, isa lang siyang malaking, parang valley, or parang isa lang siyang malaking hollow na shape. Wala na po yung parang narrow neck dito sa may taas. So, yes, Balantidium coli also cause ulcers. This parasite can be diagnosed using direct fecal smear and concentration techniques. It is common, or it can be transmitted in an environment where there is close contact between pigs and humans. Mag-isip tayo ng example, di ba yung mga farms, ganyan. Para lang siyang Ascaris suum, parang ganun. So, yung mga farmers po talaga natin, no, dapat may proper hygiene, dapat they have very good health kasi they're at risk for so many infections. And also, let us remember, both pigs and humans, they both facilitate the growth or the multiplication of Balantidium coli. Wala pong paratenic. So, mas madali talagang magpasa-pasa between these two organisms. Treatment is oxytetracycline and iodoquinol. And that ends our discussion on Balantidium coli. Move na po tayo sa next group, which would be the flagellates. The thing about flagellates is ang dami nila and we can divide them based on their habitat. So there are intestinal flagellates, there are extra-intestinal. Nalala niyo po ba to? Trichomonas vaginalis. This is the one that can be found in the genital tract. Ayan. Trichomonas tenax, nasa mouth din. So, abangan po natin yan. And then, meron din tayo mga nasa blood, Leishmania species and Trypanosoma species. Although for the ones yung naka-color red, ang tawag po sa kanila ay hemoflagellate. Okay, hemoflagellate, and we have a separate discussion for this one. So, may iba pa pong PowerPoint or iba pa pong video kung aabutin yung mga hemoflagellates natin. But then again, meron po tayo sa intestines, meron tayo sa mouth, meron sa genital tract, and then meron sa blood. For now, we are going to discuss the intestinal flagellates. This will be our reference. Okay, so before we identify the different flagellates, ano po yung mga important parts and what makes a flagellate different from your amoeba and from your ciliates? So ito po yung mga important parts ng flagellate. Of course, yung flagella, this is their whip-like structure that allows them to move from one point to another. They also have a median body. In this case, ito po yung median body, and the role of this one is, it is their source of energy. Okay, this is, parang mitochondria lang yan. This is their source of energy. They also have a cytostome and a cytopage. Kailangan nila yan kasi, syempre, just like any organism, they need nutrients and they also have waste products. They also have undulating membrane. So, undulating membrane, this is an important part or an important part of your Trichomonas species because we are using the undulating membrane to identify the species of Trichomonas. And then in this picture, yung undulating membrane, para lang siyang cephalic alley, parang extension lang ng body nila or ng membrane nila. So yun po yung undulating membrane. Ginagamit pang identify and pang differentiate ng Trichomonas species. Next is the axostyle. Aside from the flagella, the axostyle also aids in movement. And in this picture, this is the axostyle. Ayan. So parang may tail sila, pero hindi po siya whip-like. Ang axostyle yung tawag. And finally, it also has a costa. So the costa stabilizes or holds the undulating membrane in place. Ito pong green. Ayan. So it holds the undulating membrane in place. This is called the costa. So naintindihan na po natin yung mga different parts ng flagellate. Let us try to look for these parts in the different parasites that we will discuss in this video. The first one is Giardia duodenalis. The other names are Giardia lamblia and Giardia intestinalis. The infective stage is the cyst. Diagnostic stage, ganun din po, cyst and trophozoite. So, kailan ulit natin makikita yan? Pag nasa solid or formed stool sample, so most likely cyst yung nandun. Pag watery, most likely trophozoite. The habitat is the small intestine. Medyo kakaiba po ito kasi normally, pag mga protozoans, nasa large intestine sila. But for Giardia lamblia or Giardia duodenalis, nasa small intestine po siya nakikita. Mode of transmission, alam na natin yan. Host, humans. High-risk groups, nako, nandito na naman yung mga children. Ang mga malilikot at madudungis na children, ayan, at risk na naman sila sa infection. But aside from that, immigrants, travelers, immunocompromised individuals, basically those that can be exposed to different types of food. Kunwari, tourist ka, no? Street food adventure ka sa ganitong country. Ay, ako pala to, joke lang. So, street food adventure ka sa ibang country, yan. Tapos, hindi mo alam kung paano prepare or yung microbiome mo, medyo hindi sanay sa ganong klaseng, hindi ka immune, no? Sa ganong klaseng preparation ng food. Pwede ka pong maging symptomatic patient ng Giardia duodenalis. And then, of course, yung mga weakened immune system, immunocompromised individuals. For the morphology, this is described to be a pear-shaped parasite. Na kumakain po ba kayo ng pear? So kung kumakain kayo, maiintindihan nyo kung ba't ito yung description. So parang meron lang siyang broad na body, tapos medyo pointed or mas narrow sa dulo. So it's pear-shaped. And it resembles an old man wearing glasses. Old man wearing glasses. Bakit? Yung nuclei niya, yun yung parang eyes niya. Tapos parang may glasses siya. These glasses are the ventral sucking discs. Ano po yung ventral sucking discs? Disc that allows the parasite to suck or to parang suction. Di ba yung mga pangsabit ng towel sa CR? So to suck or to adhere to your intestine. Para hindi siya alunin, no, ng mga dumadaloy sa intestine nyo. So, it allows them to attach to the host. Ayan, and to reside in the host. So, yun po yung old man wearing glasses. And then, sabi nila, yung median bodies, ito daw yung parang, mustache, ganyan, and mouth. Motility, kung ang Balantidium coli ay may thrown ball motility, ang Giardia lamblia merong falling leaf motility. Tingnan nga po natin yung GIF, para daw siyang falling leaf, which is very true naman, di ba? Ito yung leaf, tapos merong stem dun sa dulo. How many flagella does this parasite have? 4 pairs. Pag pair, ibig sabihin by twos. So, total of 8 flagella. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, 4 pairs. They have 2 nuclei. Ito po yung mga eyes ng Giardia lamblia. They have ventral sucking discs, which allows them to attach to the host. Median bodies, their source of energy. Diba sabi natin kanina? Other structures involve the axostyle. So, meron po silang axostyle dito. Pero hindi lang siya medyo evident, no, dito sa picture, pero the axostyle is also used for locomotion. May axoneme din. Ayan. And this is what they look like under the microscope. For the cyst stage, we can see that they have 4 nuclei. Although when we talk about flagellates, medyo hindi na natin pinag-uusapan yung peripheral chromatin, karyosome. So medyo hindi na po. May iba tayong mga keywords na gagamitin in this video. Ayan. And then, meron silang median bodies. So, ito po yung example ng Giardia lamblia. And this is what they look like in a stained preparation. Life cycle, ganun din. Wala din namang nagbago. But this time, the habitat is the small intestine. Very important to sa diagnosis. Kaya tandaan nyo po yun. Habitat, small intestine. This parasite initiates cellular apoptosis via various mechanisms. And because of that, cellular apoptosis, cell death. Dahil dyan, nawawalan na or naapektuhan na yung function ng intestine. Ano nangyayari? Nagkakaroon ng diarrhea si patient. Malabsorption, kasi namatay na yung mga cells. So malabsorption, di na naka-absorb na nutrients, nagkaroon ng steatorrhea or stool sample or fatty stool sample. And they can also cause electrolyte imbalance kasi yung diarrhea na to, very madedehydrate ka, ganyan. So, magkakaroon ka ng electrolyte imbalance. This parasite has been associated with different disease names. So, hindi lang siya basta giardiasis. It used to be called traveler's diarrhea dahil very common nga po ito sa mga tourists, din pupunta sa iba't ibang bansa. Ayan, tapos yung, syempre, hindi sanay yung gut nila sa ganon. Beaver fever. Bakit beaver fever? Kasi there is a recorded incident where mga tourists or parang campers that went to I'm not sure kung park ba yun or parang camping site, parang ganyan, na maraming beavers. Tapos nagkaroon sila ng diarrhea. So, ang tawag doon ay beaver fever. And this has also been previously, okay, but now we know it affects all genders, all orientations, but previously it was associated with homosexual practices. That's why it was called gay bowel syndrome. But now, we just refer to it as giardiasis. Kasi kahit hindi ka naman traveler, kain ka lang ng street food dyan sa Hepa Lane, no? Kaya kung sa recto, ganyan, or wag na tayong lumayo, kahit sa tapat lang, di ba? Pwede ka din naman magkaroon nito. Ayan, beaver fever, hindi nyo kailangan makipag-camping para magka-giardiasis. And then gay bowel syndrome, again, wala nga naman po pinipiling tao yung giardiasis. So just simply giardiasis. And it is also called failure to thrive syndrome. Ano po to? Labas po ng textbook natin. So thanks to other references. Failure to thrive syndrome. So this is because of the severe diarrhea, 'di ba? We should thrive, not just survive. Do you know that saying? So yung thrive, hindi na po tayo functional, ganyan. Because again, of the severe diarrhea, dehydration, so your body is very weak, you cannot function normally. So that's called failure to thrive. And then it can also cause rotten egg smelling flatus. Ayun. So pag yung flatus, yung utot ng katabi mo, no? Parang it's giving Georgia, ganyan. So, pwede mo siyang gusto mo magpa-DFS, ayun, baka may giardiasis na yung katabi mo or yung friend mo. So, ano nga po yung failure to thrive? Ayun, very weak, ganyan, cannot function normally. So, failure to thrive po yun. Laboratory diagnosis, syempre pwede ang direct fecal smear, but because this parasite can be found in the small intestine, so pwede tayong kumuha ng fluid from the small intestine or fluid from the duodenum. So ang tawag doon, duodenal aspirate or fluid examination. We discussed this in lesson 10, but allow me to refresh your memory. What is the entero test? Basically, a person is asked to swallow a pill with a very long thread attached to it. So when you swallow the pill, yung dulo po ng thread nakadikit siya sa cheek ng patient, and then after 4 to 6 hours, 4 hours, ganyan, the doctor or maybe the doctor will pull the thread so that the pill will go up and exit again through your mouth. And as it does that, yung fluid na absorb niya, pwede natin i-extract yung fluid na yon, yung duodenal fluid, and then we view it under the microscope, and then we check for Giardia duodenalis, trophozoites or cysts. Ayun po. So yun po yung entero test. Nilunok, ayan, after 4 hours, hinila pabalik ng bibig, and then in-examine sa microscope. Serological tests are also available. I won't read them one by one, but here they are. Again, when you say serological or immunological, you don't look for the actual parasite, but this time, you detect antigen. So, meron din naman mga immunological test na hindi antibody yung hinahanap, pero parasitic antigen. Okay lang yun. But the principle remains na it's like an indirect test because you don't see the parasite itself, but you just rely on proteins that can appear because of their presence in the human body. And then lastly, molecular testing is also very possible. Epidemiology, this is more prevalent in warm climates. Ayan, hello summer. Kaya mag-ingat po tayo sa mga kinakainan natin. Most common parasitic infection, it's a major cause of diarrheal outbreaks from contaminated water supplies in the Philippines. It's also found in beavers. Kaya naman pala, na-infect yung mga campers or yung mga tourists nung nagpunta sila sa di ko talaga maalala, pero if you can look for it, I think it's a camp or like, ang tawag dito, parang park, na pupunta ka doon, tapos makikita mo sila, ganyan. And then, ayun, so, yun, na-infect sila, beaver fever. So, para matandaan po natin, beaver fever, tandaan lang po si Justin Bieber. Yes, yun, tawa kayo, tawa. And then, treatment, metronidazole, nitroimidazole, and tinidazole. Okay, so now we go to our second parasite. So I think I can cut it here. I'll cut it after this parasite so we can move the rest to another video. But here is parasite number 2, Chylomastix mesnili. This is described as a non-pathogenic flagellate. Okay, so it's non-pathogenic. Parang Entamoeba coli lang yan, mga Endolimax neina. But as we've said before, let us remember, hindi porket non-pathogenic, tapos nakita mo sa stool sample, hindi mo na i-report. Okay lang yan, wala naman siya sakit. Di po pwedeng ganon. Kasi their presence in the stool sample is still a sign that the person ate something unclean or ate something questionable. So you have to look further. If you see a Chylomastix mesnili or E. coli or any other non-pathogenic parasite, it's a sign that you should look further kasi baka may nakatago din dong mga pathogenic parasite na mas kailangan mong i-report. So again, never dismiss or do not disregard non-pathogenic parasites in stool samples. This is when you start working as a medical technologist. So the infective stage of this parasite is the cyst. Wala naman po nagbabago masyado. Ayan, so sila pa din. Habitat, however, is the large intestine na. So, balik na tayo sa dati natin, like the Balantidium coli and other parasites. Large intestine. Mode of transmission, still the same. For the morphology, it's still pear-shaped, but what is the key word that we can use when we take our quizzes or examination? It has a spiral groove. Parang umikot, parang pinilipit yung dulo ng body nila. So it has a spiral groove. The motility because of this one is corkscrew. So imagine pag gumalaw sila, dahil medyo twisted yung body nila, paikot din yung ikot. Parang corkscrew. So, corkscrew motility or parang nagdi-drill sila. Yan, corkscrew motility. Unlike Giardia lamblia, it only has one nucleus and it's near the origin of the anterior flagella, which is here. It also has, it's also known for its cytostomal fibrils, meaning, if this is the nucleus and around it is or next to it is the mouth or the cytostome. So, imagine nyo na lang kung 3D picture po to, parang meron lang siyang hollow or parang depression in this part. And then, may mga fibrils na naka-attach dyan. So, cytostomal fibrils. And these fibrils allow or provide the shepherd's crook appearance, primarily seen in the cyst stage. Yung shepherd's crook appearance of the cytostomal fibrils. Nakikita siya or prominent siya sa cyst stage. They also have 4 flagella. So 1 dun sa anterior, 3 dun sa anterior end, 1, 2, 3, and then 1 dun sa may cytostome. Yung again, the shepherd's crook cytostomal fibril. Yun po yun. For the cyst stage, okay, again, the shepherd's crook appearance is mostly seen in the cyst stage. And aside from the shepherd's crook appearance, they also have a nipple-like protuberance. Parang may bukol or parang may hindi siya pus kasi hindi naman sila white blood cells. Parang yung fluid lang, may umumbok, yung kanilang cellular membrane, giving it a American lemon-shaped appearance. So, ang tawag po dito is a hyaline knob. So, just like yung mga lemon, di ba, meron silang parang umbok dun sa isang dulo. So, you can also call this a nipple-like protuberance. Ayan. Giving it an American lemon shape. So, this is what the cyst looks like. This is the sinasabi natin yung shepherd's crook na parang medyo mas visible lang siya talaga ng konti sa cyst stage. And then, ano pa ba? This is the hyaline knob or described as a nipple-like protuberance, giving it a American lemon shape. For the trophozoite stage, meron naman kita pero parang hindi siya ganun ka-obvious. Pero meron din. Ayan, shepherd's crook dito. Meron din dito. Ayan po. And then in the cyst stage, ito po yung American-like, your nipple-like protuberance. You have another one here, and then here, and then here. And giving them a American lemon-shaped appearance. For the life cycle, okay, alam na po natin yan. So, gets na natin to. Ayan. And that ends our discussion for Chylomastix mesnili. So, I will create a new video for the Trichomonas species, although very konti na lang naman na yung mga parasites na yon. But until then, I hope you learned something new from this video and sana maging helpful po ito while we are separated or habang hindi pa tayo nagkakaroon ng on-site classes. So thank you so much for listening and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you!